I'm Ben Lightburn, the CEO and co-founder of Filament Health. Filament Health is a natural psychedelic drug development company. We extract powerful botanical compounds from psychoactive plants and fungi and turn them into standardized drugs. As the mental health crisis continues to grow, our mission to see safe, natural psychedelics in the hands of everyone who needs them has never been more important, and we are doing everything in our power to ensure that people suffering from treatable conditions will have access to these healing compounds as soon as possible. 2022 was a year of significant progress for Filament. We established ourselves as a highly sought-after partner in the psychedelic industry and a leader in botanical psychedelic drug development. Our strategy of out-licensing our botanical psilocybin drug candidate, PEX-10, to our partner network continued. We announced several new partnerships, including a commercial licensing agreement with Science Group to provide PEX-10 for palliative care, and a supply agreement with the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, Canada's largest mental health institution. In September, we announced that 14 subjects were dosed with our psilocybin in a Health Canada approved clinical trial run by our partner Atma Journey Centres. All participants reported very positive results. Filament's research and development also progressed through 2022 at an impressive rate. Excellence in our laboratory continued with the formulation of standardized botanical ayahuasca, an industry first. Our intellectual property portfolio grew with several new patent issuances from the United States Patent and Trademark Office, bringing Filament's total number of patents to 14. We ended the year with cash and cash equivalents of $2.8 million and approximately $400,000 of revenue.
As we entered 2023, Filament had a number of early successes. We announced new supply partnerships with Psychiatric Center Copenhagen for alcohol use disorder and with CAMH for a trial studying mild cognitive impairment. Exporting psilocybin to Denmark represented a significant regulatory lift for our team, and we were pleased with our success in partnering with the European Medicine Agency. We also signed on to a joint venture to create Magdalena Biosciences in partnership with Jaguar Health, with $1 million in funding from One Small Planet. Magdalena is a development company specializing in novel, natural prescription medicines derived from plants for mental health indications. The implied value of Filament's ownership of Magdalena represents $2 million. In March, we announced FDA approval for clinical trials at the University of California, San Francisco, studying our botanical psilocybin for methamphetamine use disorder. This trial represents the first study of a natural psilocybin drug candidate for methamphetamine use disorder. Soon after, we announced the manufacture and release of GMP-compliant MDMA capsules to serve a significant need in both Canada and abroad. Health Canada's Special Access Program remains the only way for patients to access psilocybin outside of clinical trials. Filament is currently the only provider for psilocybin for the SAP. No other psilocybin has been given to patients since June of 2022. We donate not only our drug product, but hours of our team's time each week to help facilitate much needed access for patients who are critically ill. We do this because we believe in the importance of access to psilocybin, as well as to establish prescriber and patient networks, build relationships with health authorities, and to gain feedback on real-world application of our drugs. As of May 1st, 89 patients have been approved to receive our botanical psilocybin through the SAP, and 43 have been dosed at least once. This means that Filament Health is the only company currently supplying legal psilocybin to patients anywhere in North America. Our efforts to support psilocybin research are also growing steadily. All of Filament's hard work has not gone unnoticed. In recent months, we've been featured in the Globe and Mail, Maclean's magazine, on Global News Radio, and on CTV. This media coverage has had a positive impact on our share price performance, in addition to raising our public profile. Our profile continues to grow with high caliber event appearances as well. In March, our CEO, Ben, was asked to speak at South by Southwest, a prestigious event in Austin, Texas, which spotlights innovators across industries. Last week, he presented at the Psychedelic Therapeutics and Drug Development Conference in San Francisco, and next month, he will speak at MAP Psychedelic Science in Denver.
Looking ahead, our strategy will emphasize 3 key areas: drug development, our partner network, and new markets. We recently received early safety data from our phase 1 clinical trial at UCSF. All of our drugs have so far been well tolerated, and all of the participants achieved full mystical experiences, which is what is associated with therapeutic outcomes. We have sharpened the focus of our clinical programs into substance use disorders. This is due to a very large unmet need. Methamphetamine use disorder affects 1.6 million people in the US, and opioid use disorder affects over 16 million people worldwide. Both of these conditions cause significant harm to those suffering from them and to society at large. The overall substance use disorder market was valued at $35 billion US in 2021 and is expected to grow to $60 billion by 2029. In these indications, there are also clear endpoints with substance use disorders, compared to multifactorial mental health conditions like depression, where outcomes can be difficult to measure. We have received a phase 2 clinical trial authorization from US FDA to study methamphetamine use disorder with PEX-10 at UCSF. We intend to continue to leverage the advantages of botanical drugs. This allows us to take a development fast track, skipping lengthy and expensive IND-enabling studies in many cases. Our laboratory and extraction expertise, which has shown remarkable success with fungi, is now turned to the standardization of psychoactive plants and cacti, such as iboga and San Pedro. We will continue to strategically out-license PEX-10 for indications which are not Filament's internal focus, such as with our commercial partnership with Science for palliative care. As we advance our drug development programs, we will be able to out-license to our customers at later stages in the drug development cycle and for greater consideration. We also intend to continue growing our academic supply network, and we're pleased to provide psilocybin to these institutions to further psychedelic research. These partnerships provide Filament with exclusive access to clinical data in new indications, which we may then develop further ourselves. We also help to alleviate industry-wide supply shortages. Finally, we will ensure that Filament is represented in new markets where significant revenue opportunities and first-mover advantages exist in both pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical markets. Several jurisdictions have enabled pre-marketing authorization distribution of drugs on a limited basis, including Canada and Australia. In Canada, we will continue to donate our drug candidates and our time to the Health Canada Special Access Program. Beginning July 1, Australia will reschedule psilocybin and MDMA, making them eligible for distribution via the Authorized Prescriber Scheme, a program whereby psychiatrists can obtain permission to prescribe these substances for certain indications. Filament is in active discussions with the TGA, the Australian equivalent of FDA, and local distributors, as we believe our products are ideal candidates for this scheme. We are also in discussions with FDA about expanded access. Stay tuned for more news in this regard as it develops. All of these areas offer opportunities to establish prescriber and patient networks, build relationships with health authorities, and gain feedback on real-world applications of our drugs, and most importantly, the opportunity to treat patients. Non-pharmaceutical markets are also arriving sooner than expected. In Oregon, state-level legalization came into effect in January of this year, and only natural psilocybin products are permitted. Filament has executed a licensing agreement with a local party who will distribute products made using our technology. In Colorado, legalization is expected in 12 to 18 months, following a ballot measure which passed in November 2022. We intend to play a role in this market, which will also be natural only. Regulatory attitudes in the US are improving, and several more states have various bills and ballot measures which are progressing. All of this means that Filament can gain exposure to regulatory changes permitting legal sales. It is a privilege to be supported by so many great shareholders and investors. With your support, we have established ourselves as the leading supplier of pharmaceutical-grade psilocybin for research and commercial development. Our botanical approach allows us to reap unusual benefits in terms of IP, clinical development, consumer preference, and cost. 18 months ago, there were no approved clinical trials using natural psilocybin. Now there are 20 and counting, both academic and revenue generating, all of which are using Filament's products. With our new internal focus on substance use disorders and continued benefits from our botanical approach, Filament is well positioned to take advantage of both the pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical psychedelics markets as they rapidly emerge. We thank you for your time, attention, and most of all, for your continued support. Thank you.